We have an interesting week full of planetary transits. We have a bunch going on. Mercury is going retrograde in Capricorn, causing us to reevaluate where our priorities are in life and where we need to get real about our situations. Mars is still very much in retrograde, and it's making 3 contacts this week, which will bring up situations that occurred around September. And Venus will make the most of the transits this week, causing us to focus on what we need to work on when it comes down to our relationships and finances. And looking at the vibes on the graph, it is a reflection of a very interesting and weird week. Romance energy will be in and out throughout this week because we have a ton of Venus alignments. Some of the Venus alignments that start off in the beginning of the week may be somewhat edgy, but as we get to the end of the week, they round out pretty nicely. So romance-wise, this is a week where we're focusing on relationship stuff. It can be some flirty situations. It could also be situations where we need to address certain behaviors. Emotional sensitivity will peak and valley throughout this week on the 27th to the 28th and over the weekend. Because of the edgy tone of this week, some of that will be present. There is some triggery moments. I mean, Mercury is going retrograde this week. Mercury's making a bunch of transits this week. Mars will be active in terms of its retrograde alignments this week. So things might feel more triggery than normal throughout the next 7 days. Mental energy is intersecting solitude and romantic energy from the 29th all the way up until the 1st. Again, we could be in our heads this week. We could need space to ourselves and moments to ourselves, but things again will round out a little bit as we get to the weekend with some of the other energies. And on the 31st, there's a smidge of confusion and psychic energy mixed in with all those other ones. So Mercury is going to be making its alignments and connections that it did a week ago since it's going retrograde. And so it is going to make a connection to Neptune, which may cause a little bit of fog. At the same time, it could heighten our psychic abilities. So yeah, this is going to be a colorful week for sure. Let's look at the next bunch of days and see what we can expect. As a reminder, don't forget to like and subscribe because it helps this channel grow. And if you'd like to support the work of this channel, you could do so by buying me a fresh cup of coffee. There's a link in the description box below. So yeah, we're kicking off the week with a mixed bag of Venus alignments. On the 27th, Venus is going to make a semisextile to Saturn. So this can bring up where we're in relationships or dealing with job situations where things are lackluster. In other words, there's not a lot of emotion, there's not a lot of feeling, it lacks passion. In the job situations, it may be that we're just feeling unfulfilled in terms of where we're at with the job itself. So this can bring to our attention where we've kind of just lost that edge when it comes down to possibly a relationship or a career scenario. So we could really be focused on how much we've lost interest in these situations. Of course, this is one of those things that gives you a nudge that, things need to change, but this could be a period where you're trying to figure out a proper strategy so that way you can move forward from situations that are no longer fulfilling. That next day, on the 28th, Venus is making a connection with Neptune that actually is harmonious. This can bring up a more spiritual element when it comes down to romantic unions and financial situations. Within this energy, we could feel more inclined to seek spiritual connection with others. If you're single, this could be a period where you're meeting those types where there is some sort of connection. There's some sort of soul alignment between you and this person. It brings in a very flirtatious tone as well too. So don't at all be surprised if someone may have like a way with words or just know how to flirt the right way to get your attention and things like that. For romantic unions, this could bring in a storybook element to your relationship. That day could feel more romantic than normal. It could feel like you guys are on the same wavelength as one another, and it can create moments where intimacy is just off the charts. In money situations, this can be a bit of a slippery slope because although this is one of those energies which is amazing for manifesting things, you do want to be aware of overspending with this energy because sometimes we could think we have more than we have with Neptune and then we don't. It brings in that act as if energy, so it may be a situation where, again, you're able to manifest because you're acting as if, but also at the same time, you do want to make sure you're not overdoing it and thinking you have more than you actually have. But at least this will bring in a soft tone to it, and we'll need that because on that day, the sun's going to be semisquare to Saturn. With this semisquare, it could bring in self-doubt. It can cause our self-esteem to kind of not necessarily fluctuate, but more so feel like the wind is being taken out of our sails. So this could be days where we're experiencing a lot of doubt. Our confidence is lower than normal. We're feeling as though, it's a feeling of being left out in a lot of ways. When the sun and Saturn get together in harder alignments, sometimes we can feel left out in certain situations or feel as though we're not getting the recognition that we deserve. And so we'll be wondering, when is it our time to shine within this energy? The thing about these energies is when you get the Sun and Saturn together like this, eventually things do pan out. It just takes a little bit of time. In other words, with Saturn and the Sun coming together in this way, our hard work and efforts does pay off. We just can't see it at that moment. So if you are feeling this way on this particular day, know that these situations will work themselves out and you will have light at the end of the tunnel. By the time we get to the 29th, we've got a Mars retrograde alignment. Venus is going to make a Sesquiquadrate with Mars, which is going to help us in reconsidering our values when it comes down to relationships. Last time we had this alignment was on October 31st. And the thing with this energy is when you have Venus-Mars transits in a hard alignment, sometimes they can be fun, but there are other times where it does bring up serious situations within our love life and career situations. This is one of those alignments where, you know, we could be having fun in terms of intimacy being off the charts and things being ultra passionate and feeling more attractive than normal and being magnetic when it comes down to drawing people to us, or in our relationships having a lot of makeup sex as a result of this energy. At the same time, this can bring up things within a person's history relationship-wise. So this can make us aware of a pattern that we're repeating in relationships that we're needing to fix, which is not a bad thing. It just can be a very uncomfortable thing when it finally hits us and dawns on us that we need to make certain changes when it comes to our love life so that way we can be happy. This could also inflate dramatic situations in relationships. So if there's been any unhealthy behavior, toxic behavior, petty behavior, dishonesty, disloyalty within relationships, it tends to get drudged up more within this energy, and especially with this being a Mars retrograde, this could be drudged up even further than we expected. And this is coming at an interestingly odd time because on that same day, Mercury is going retrograde. So we are ending 2022 with a retrograde, and we are kicking off 2023 with a Mercury retrograde. Throughout this year, we've had half and half Mercury retrogrades, and this one will be fully in one specific sign. Ones we had this year were half in Earth and then half Earth sign. Mostly we get towards the end of an Earth sign and then go somewhere in between the first 10 degrees of an air sign. So it was an interesting mix. We had these hybrid Mercury retrogrades where we dealt with Earth issues and we dealt with air issues. Air issues having to do with our communication and mental stuff. Earth situations have to deal with our resources and stability. So this one will be fully in Capricorn, causing us to re-examine where our priorities are in life and where we need to get real with ourselves. Mercury entered Capricorn on December 6th, giving us about a good 6 days of this being a non-retrograde vibe. But as we got to the 12th, this is where Mercury went into the shadow period. So think about what was going on with you regarding Capricorn themes around the 12th of December. Where have you been working on self-imposed limits? How are you setting up better boundaries for yourself and when it comes down to others? Are there any business matters that need to be reviewed or revamped in your life? Has this been a time where you're wanting to work on work-life balance issues? Have you been examining where you could become more practical or responsible on certain things? Has this been a period where you've been learning that it's time to grow up in a lot of ways and you're looking to become more mature? Are you understanding where you need to become more accountable on things? Has this been a period where you've had miscommunication issues due to ruthlessness, lacking empathy, or being so self-focused that you dominate conversations with other people? Has this been a period where you're working on family issues? In Capricorn, the family issues have a lot to do with parental figures. They have a lot to do with male figures. They have a lot to do with dominant figures in the family. So if there's a parental figure that's masculine or a very dominant female in your life, this could be a time where you're trying to resolve some of those issues. Speaking of authority figures, this could also do with bosses or those who hold more power than you and more rank than you in the hierarchy. This could be a period of resolving those issues with those types of people. This could be a period about getting serious about paperwork and important documents you may have to sign, especially if they have anything to do with business or structures or things to do with banking. So this might be a time to really buckle down and get things done so that way they're in working order for you. Capricorn energy is about practicality and exercise exercising patience within our lives. So this could be a period where you're working on that more than anything else. Also, this could be a time where you're more focused on image and the way things appear. So this could be a period where you're working on your portfolio or your reputation of some sort of way, working on your social media presence and things like that, because Capricorn in the 10th house have a lot to do with the way the public sees us and views us. And sometimes that could be our social media. Other times that could be our resume. Other times that could be our portfolio and other things of that nature. And for that reason, this could be a time where you're focusing on mastery and working on the things that you need to master in your life. A way you can create sustainability, leave behind a legacy, and make a life that's filled with excellence. Mercury will go direct on January 18th, 2023, and will leave the post shadow on February 7th, 2023. The cardinal signs will feel this more than others, which will be Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, between 6 and 26 degrees of these signs. So if you have any placements within the cardinal modality, you're going to feel this retrograde more than others. On that same day, Mercury is going to make a conjunction with Venus. Mercury is making one of its first alignments as it steps into its retrograde, and at least with this one, it's one of the softer toned sort of alignments. A transit like this is great for communication, it's great for flirtation, it's great for sweetening the deal in a situation, it's amazing for negotiations. This could be a day of high flirtation over text message and face-to-face as well. This might be a day where you're feeling like you have a way with words, or you're meeting others who have a way with words and they're very attractive and magnetic as a result. But overall, this is about communicating in a way that's easygoing and fun and sociable. And so this is a lovely vibe that we're absolutely going to need, because by the time we get to the next day on the 30th, Mercury is going to make a Sesquiquadrate with Mars. This is part 4 to this Mercury-Mars dance that we've been having. We've had it in the form of squares, we've had it in the form of the opposition, quincunxes, and of course the Sesquiquadrates. So there have been some harmonious connections with Mercury and Mars as well. This one in particular is very frequent and has caused a bunch of communication issues, irritability in terms of anger, in terms of arguments, in terms of being overly aggressive, and in a lot of ways just trying to dominate the conversation, trying to talk over people. And this one tends to bring in a very bossy tone to it. So the unhealthier side of this alignment tends to get more inflated. And for this reason, be aware of those who are trying to provoke you to get a reaction out of you or make you like the bad guy in a situation. If you're dealing with something like that, don't indulge them, don't engage them, don't feed their monster. If you have the luxury to, try to walk away from these situations. But on a more neutral end, this could be a moment where you need to assert yourself. This could be a moment where you're needing to use your voice. This could be a moment where you're needing to speak up. This could be a moment where you're having to put someone in their place, and as a result, it ends up causing this person to back off of you. One healthy thing with this alignment as well is this could be about standing up for other people. So you could be using your voice in that way and throwing your weight around in that sort of manner. So it does have its helpful and constructive side in that sort of way. And you're going to want to be mindful of the way you're going about things, but definitely standing up for yourself is important. Definitely asserting yourself is important. If it is one of those situations where someone is picking at you purposely, though, try not to engage in those types of situations, because it goes nowhere, and those who are committed to misunderstanding you are going to continue to do so. And you're going to have to try and stay as balanced as possible with these energies, because that same day we've got another Mars retrograde alignment. Mars is going to be making its second quincunx with the Sun. Okay, so the good news about this one is this means Mars will be slowing down. This is the second quincunx on the other side of the retrograde, so Mars will be slowing down, and in about 13 days Mars will go direct. So this long retrograde cycle is almost direct, which is excellent. Obviously, we still have the shadow period that we had to go through. That's going to last until about March 16th or so. Middle of March is when Mars will go out of its post-shadow. But at least we are starting to come to an ending point with this never-ending retrograde. Been in since October 30th. But with this one, because we're dealing with Mars and the Sun, and this happens to be a quincunx, this could have a lot to do with a lack of self-awareness, blind spots when it comes down to our temper, blind spots when it comes down to being overly confident, and by overly confident I mean arrogant. This is one of those alignments that really inflates false bravado in people. So there could be situations where we're dealing with people who have really strong personalities, people who come on too strong, people that need to inflate their sense of importance in order to feel better about themselves. So this alignment in itself can be aggravating as a result. It has its fun moments, but it does have its moments where it could be quite uncomfortable. cycle. I say it has its fun moments because it gets us being more adventurous, it gets us revved up, it gets us wanting to go out there and have fun. The thing about it is we can engage in some risky behavior in order to boost our confidence, so we need to be aware of that. Sometimes that risky behavior could result in getting attention from the wrong places, and by the wrong places, from the wrong people. And because we are dealing with Mars, this could be boosting your confidence through hooking up with people. And there's nothing wrong with that, especially if you're single and you're just wanting to go out and have fun, go out and have fun. But you definitely have to make sure it's coming from a place of just being free and loose, and that's just your personality, versus doing it to puff your own ego up, because that in itself could be a slippery slope and could be dangerous. It might be good for the moment, but in the long run, it's not going to help confidence-wise. So it's something that you really want to be aware of within this energy, because that in itself could be a problem down the line. At least by New Year's Eve, we get some improved energies. The weekend will round out with Venus making a conjunction with Pluto and Mercury coming back around and making the sextile that it did a week ago to Neptune. Venus and Pluto coming together can be very intense. However, in an alignment like this, it can be constructive as well. If you're looking for something deep in your life, love life-wise, career-wise, this energy is perfect for that. This is the type of energy where we meet people who want a deep commitment. So if you're single, this could be a time where you're meeting someone who's more solid, someone who's consistent, someone who wants to have a deep connection. Also, this tends to bring in people where you have a soul connection, where you actually have maybe a past life connection with this person. So it's very karmic energy when it comes down to love life situations. If you're in a relationship, this could be great for deepening the relationship, deepening the passion in the relationship, feeling like you guys are melded, feeling like you guys are on the same wavelength as one another, causing intimacy to be off the charts with one another. So this energy is amazing for intense connections in that sort of way, and in a healthy way. And because this is New Year's Eve, and if you're going out, this could be one of those social nights that's really deep and profound and intense in a good way. And even if it's not on a romantic level, you could meet people that you end up having these deep connections with that you could possibly make lifelong friendships with. And on the 1st, Mercury is making that connection to Neptune again, which is going to connect us with higher vibrational energy when it comes down to our communication. We could feel some of this going on throughout the night. And again, tied in with that Pluto energy, this is one of those days where, we can really connect with people on a higher level and on a deeper level within that next 24 hours. So again, this could put you in positions where you're meeting people that there's a soul connection in some sort of way, whether it be romantic or platonic. And you could find yourself having these deep spiritual conversations with others. Energy is great for your psychic abilities and feeling your intuition being more sharper than normal. And we could feel more stimulated than normal when it comes down to the music we're listening to and other activities that we're doing on an extrasensory level. So this is lovely energy to round out the year of 2022 in terms of New Year's Eve. And again, if you're not going out, this is still lovely energy. If you're having a party at home and having something more intimate, this is just great for connection overall. So yeah, this is really enjoyable to see this energy coming at the end of the year in this sort of way. So happy New Year, everyone, and see you in 2023.